Hi, it's Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to do an update video for you, kind of looking over some of my recent purchases. Now, I know I've been like over purchasing. I'm trying to do better, as I will admit to buying new stuff just this week. I'm in the midst of a declutter series. I'll have another one up for you soon, but my goal is to get to know my collection better and only keep what I really love. So I feel like checking back with you on, hey, I tried this new thing, here's what I really think about it. I think that might help you not end up in this massive too much makeup situation that I find myself in. I'm going to start with what I have on my face today, which is the Pat McGrath Divine Blush collection. I didn't get everything. Oh, I really wanted to, but I didn't want to spend that much. I wanted to get stuff that I had never tried before and things that would kind of maybe find a place in my collection for the long term. So first of all, the blush. Love. I have been using this so much. I have really been, and you will notice, in like a cream blush situation where that's all I really want to wear, and I've been spending a lot of time not setting my full face, but this blush goes on, like, it's just enough. It's not too much. You can build it up to be much more intense. I love that it's buildable. There are some blushes you stick your brush in and you tap off the excess and you start to apply and it's like blurp, like a big like clown cheeks. Hello, we have entered clown cheeks territory. This one doesn't do that. So if you want a more pigmented blush, you'll have to layer this. But because I always end up on first application, or if I'm not paying 1000% attention with clown cheeks, I love this because it gives me just enough. I feel like the formula is nice. It doesn't look powdery on my skin. It doesn't make my skin look dry. It looks beautiful and I love it. This is the shade Nude Venus. Love. I do have a beef with this packaging. It has a little click closure with a button here that you can push, and sometimes like I'm pushing it and it can be hard to open. See? I find that it's just as difficult to open when it's facing me and I'm pressing it with my thumb, not just with like my index finger. This is not my favorite packaging, so I have been known to leave it like this so that when I pick it up, I don't have to fight with it. If you struggle sometimes getting interesting packaging open, I don't like the push button here. It's not as easy as other push button closing mechanisms. I wasn't sure I was going to be in love with the highlight. This highlight is the shade Golden Nectar. I love the tone of it. I mean, so pretty. The problem I have is that when I'm wearing this, when it's not directly in the light, you can see it looks a little gray on my skin, but when it hits the light, it's absolutely magnificent. So this is what I see on my skin. And this is my skin tone, and I don't like those little stripes here. So here's what I've been doing, because I feel like the glow is so beautiful, especially when it's blended out. It's just glorious. So what I have been doing is I have been using a smaller brush like this just to place my blush exactly where I want. And then I go back and I tap back and forth between the blush and the highlight. And then I continue to go over the top of the blush, more kind of towards the cheekbone, but I don't want to put just highlight there because that's when I get that slightly darker than my skin when it's not hitting the light look. And when I blend it in with the blush, it looks beautiful. And it's this sort of glowy gorgeousness that I have been loving. These two together, I never use the highlight on its own. She's so pretty, but I have been mixing this with blush and mostly with the one from Pat McGrath. Another product I've been loving from this line is this gloss. This gloss is in the shade Earth Angel. It's not a new shade. It's a shade that was already in the existing lineup, but it has a gorgeous kind of, it's super glossy, super shiny. It has kind of like a pink, peachy, I feel like you can see it better in the tube. It has that golden shimmer. It has have a pink lean to it. It's just gorgeous. It's unlike any other product I have in my collection. And because it is duochrome on the lips and in the light sometimes looks pink and sometimes looks peach and sometimes looks gold, it really does kind of go back and forth between that goldy peach and that pink. It's so unique and beautiful. I love this. Now, if I were to give it a score out of 1 to 100, I would say this is like an 80. First of all, the thing that brings it down is the price. She's expensive. And for an expensive lip product, I want you to be perfect. If I'm gonna pay this much for a lip gloss, I need it to be perfect. So I appreciate that it does not collect in the corners of my mouth. It doesn't string and pull. It is moisturizing. But because there is shimmer in here, as the product starts to absorb into my skin and I'm not left with a fresh application, I do start to notice those shimmer particles when my lips press together. And that to me definitely starts taking it down. Price has already taken it down to like 90%, which is still like an A-, great, fine. But the minute I start feeling the texture of the product, you could easily reapply. And I find that the more I reapply throughout the day, the more that those shimmer particles land on my lips. And the moisture will go in, but the shimmer doesn't. And I have found shimmer outside of my lip line, which is not my favorite. It's a really minute thing, and the textural feeling of it bothers me just enough to be able to give this like 80 out of 100. It's beautiful, I love it. I have been wearing it a lot, but it's not my favorite lip gloss. The last thing in the Divine Rose collection that I picked up is the quad that I'm wearing on my eyes today. Let me just mention that this packaging is different. There is no push button here. It's a magnet and it just pulls open, which is easier for me to maneuver. This quad is something that I have really strong feelings about. I feel like the shades are gorgeous and to die for, and I like the way they look on the eye. This kind of duochrome pink peach shade here is really the standout star of this palette. The rest of these are also equally lovely. They're so pretty. And I have all 4 of them on the eyes today. But let me tell you, I have to want to use this eyeshadow palette. I've had it for 2 months, and I think this is the 3rd time I've used it. I know. Super pretty. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I love so much, but I really am the sort of person who likes something that's a little easier to blend, that I know it's gonna stay where I put it. And that duochrome peachy pink shade, that one kind of, when you put it on, if you don't put it on over a sticky eyeshadow base, it ends up in places that you didn't intend. I had a lot of fallout the first time I wore it underneath my eyes, all the way over here, some sparkles on my nose, some sparkles on my chin. So then I started using it. The next time I didn't set my eyeshadow primer, but then I had that deeper burgundy shade grabbing in places where it was darker and then other places where it was lighter. So today I did, it was kind of an effort. I put on my eyeshadow primer and I used a translucent powder just where I knew I was going to use that darker shade. And then I very carefully placed other things over. Before I got this kind of peachy duochrome shade down, I put a little bit more eyeshadow primer down, tapped it between my fingers, put it where I want it, and then swiped it on carefully. It's so high maintenance. It took me really longer than I wanted to get the eye look done today. It's beautiful. I love it. I think it's smashing, but because I'm a makeup enthusiast and not a professional makeup artist, this takes time for me to do. And it's not the sort of eyeshadow palette that I want to reach for on the daily. If you have those eyeshadow skills and you do, more complicated looks than this, you're going to love this. And the formula is not going to throw you for a loop. But if you tend to be someone who wants fewer options, which is why I like the quad. There's only 4 shades in here. My concern is if you need something that's a little bit less high maintenance, this is going to be beautiful, but you're not going to get the use out of it that you want at that $50+ price. Another thing I picked up when I placed that order is this right here. This is the under eye setting powder. I have used this little guy a lot more than I thought. This is the shade Light. It's the lightest shade they make, and yes, it is white. It is white. It has a really dry, almost, I don't know, I wouldn't even say it feels powdery. It almost feels I can't even describe it. If you ever tried the HD white powder from Makeup Forever when they first launched it back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where it almost feels like it falls through your fingers, like, is there anything here? It doesn't even feel powdery, it feels almost silky. That's what this feels like. The one thing that I don't love about this is that when I pick it up, I get a lot. And then there's a lot left over just kind of hanging around the pan. It's really loosely pressed. I find that this product is exactly the same sort of feel that I get from the Beauty Pie One Powder Wonder, another white powder. This one is slightly luminous. I don't really find any luminous quality to this, but they're the same. You're getting more product in here. This I think is like under $12 if you want to pay the Beauty Pie member price for it. If you don't, I think it's like 30 bucks. This is also $30, but there's no insider price for this. You have to either pay full price or get it when it's on sale. I have continued to use this, I think just because I knew I paid 30 bucks for it. And it's meant just for the under eye, and I do use it just for the under eye. It sets everything. It wears okay. Is it my favorite under eye powder? No. I do like the ones from Hourglass just a hair more, and I feel like this is equally good at a much lower price point. So do I feel like you need to run out and get it? No. Is it a bad product? No. I just don't know that it's worth that higher price tag. Let's talk about some M Cosmetics products. The first thing I want to talk about is their Moonbeam Highlight. This is the lightest shade in Halo. It comes in this adorable little packaging and it has the cutest little puff, but I don't love this puff. So I have never successfully used this puff to lay down product, like pressing it into the cushion and then applying it without it picking up little bits of concealer, foundation, powder, whatever I have down. I don't have problems when I dip my finger in or I use a smaller sponge to place it. It doesn't feel like it picks it up. I feel like because the surface is a little bit smooth, it keeps you from picking up too much product like you would with a sponge, but it also tends to pick up whatever you have on underneath. So I don't apply it with this, but I feel like the color is so beautiful. It's a really pretty gold shade. I feel like it's like there's not a lot of product in here. I don't know about that, but I already feel like as I stick my finger in it, that the cushion is not as juicy as it used to be. I always keep it closed, sealed here, and then sealed this way as well. If we're talking about packaging, this does have that push button opening mechanism and it works super easy. I feel like this one is easier to use than the one from Pat McGrath. And I would think because the compact is so tiny, the mirror would be small, but the mirror is big enough that you can actually, if you hold it far enough out, you know, use it to put on your makeup. I feel like everything about this is great. It's a little chunky. I don't hate that, but the color is gorgeous. The one thing that I like that when I use this with my finger or a sponge, it goes beautifully over powder makeup. So if I'm wearing like a powder foundation, if I'm wearing a set face and I want to put a little highlight on, or over powder blush, works gorgeous. I don't have any problems. The next thing I picked up is their Divine Skies eyeshadow palette in their new release Venetian Rose. This is one, they already have two others. They have one in Faded Clementine, and then I have another one here in Magic Hour. So if you're looking at these, we're a little more peach, we're a little more kind of dusty rose, and you can definitely get a super laid back look. I have not been able to stop reaching for this. I was gonna reach for it today and I was like, you know what, you wear it all the time, put on that Pat McGrath. But I love this. I use it kind of like finger paints. There are days that I wear this when I'm not using a brush. I'll just stick my finger in one shade and kind of swipe it on. The metallics in here are insanely gorgeous and look fantastic. And even though there are some browns in here, they do tend to lean a little more rosy, which is so beautiful. I'm not a pink eyeshadow fan, but I love this and I can't stop reaching for it since it arrived at my doorstep. I picked up some things from Walmart. There is a new brand at Walmart. This is Uoma Beauty by Sharon C. This is kind of like the less expensive little sister to Uoma Beauty. The foundation is really my favorite thing. This is a 1 ounce, comes in a glass bottle with a plastic pump on it, which I think is fantastic. I have the lightest shade in T1 White Pearl. And this is right now that we've got a little summer going on and I picked up just a hair color, not on purpose, just because it happens every year, just a hair too light for me. So I put in just a little bit of something to make it a little bit deeper. And it's perfect. I feel like this wears really nicely. It looks skin-like. It doesn't look heavy. I feel like it wears really well. It's not my favorite foundation, but I actually really enjoy wearing it, and I have been wearing it a lot. The next thing from Uoma Beauty by Sharon C is their Batter Boom Mascara. I really liked the way that the wand looks. It has kind of like a slightly twisted look to it. So as you're combing through your lashes, it makes sure that you don't get a ton of clumps. I loved that. I also appreciated, because sometimes if I put on mascara, I have kind of thin, shorter lashes, and if I'm putting on a really wet mascara, it can get everywhere and look a little crazy. This was dry enough going on that I didn't have that problem, and I appreciated that about it. But on the 4th or 5th application of putting it on, I hadn't even had it like a week yet. I wore it and 2 hours later, I found a little few crumblies on my face underneath my eyes. And I was like, wait, what? What? And I realized it could be that the formula was so dry that starts to happen to mascaras to me when I start getting crumbles. I've had it for too long and it's time to pitch it, but I hadn't even used it for a week yet before that started with this. So I like the wand. I like the price point because it's like $8, $7.99, but I couldn't even use it for a week before I started finding little bits of it underneath here. That's not for me. Another thing that I really wanted to love, but I didn't even like it the first time I tried it, and in all honesty, I just haven't reached for it since, is this. This is the It's Complicated Lip Tint and Oil and Gloss. This shade is called Classy. It's a bright red shade. What's interesting is if you look online, the swatches for Classy are actually, they look a little bit more terracotta, but that's a red. I'm gonna take it off right now because it does stain. So that's what you're getting after like 10 seconds of it being on. Okay, fine, great, so it stains. The problem I have is that when it says gloss and oil, like a lip oil, I was expecting it to be nourishing. It starts out glossy. By hour 1.5, 2, the gloss is gone. The color still remains. Great, fine, no problem. The problem I have then though is that my lips start to dry, and pretty soon by hour 3.5 to 4, I start having little pieces of skin peeling up, and then that stain is lifted up on that top layer of skin, and then I get gaps. It's not hydrating, and it's supposed to be a gloss plus oil plus stain, and all I'm getting is a stain that's drying my lips. I wouldn't recommend this unless you have like stainless steel lips, like nothing bothers them, nothing dries them out, where your lips can handle anything. You might like it. It doesn't reapply as well over itself. It starts to look, and maybe it's because it dried my lips out as I tried to put it on, then the color would get caught in the little craggly patches and it wasn't aesthetically appealing. I have only used this once and I have not wanted to try another color. I haven't wanted to like even put it on again. Their Instagram does say you can use it as a cheek tint, but you better blend fast or who knows what you'll get. I've not made it a secret how in love I am with Lisa Eldridge products, and I was so absolutely over the moon when she launched new face products. These are the Enlightening Blushes. I have 3 shades. I love and use them all. It's the first time, today is the first time in a long time that I have not been reaching for one of these blushes. So this shade right here is called Island Glow. You can see it's very, bright orange, hot coral, but as you blend it out, it's a lot more subtle than it looks in the tube or coming straight out of the nozzle. This shade right here is the one that I wear the most. This is called Dante's Dream, and it has more of a neutral undertone, but there is a beautiful kind of warmth to it. The one I wasn't sure I was gonna love is this last one here. This is Venetian Red, and as you really blend out Venetian Red, you get the most beautiful. It's not too much, it's not too heavy. These are just to show you like what they look like coming out of the tube, but they blend to perfection. They leave my cheek feeling hydrated, not greasy. They leave my skin looking natural and flushed, as long as I can get the placement right. Sometimes I do end up a little clown cheeks with these guys because you need the smallest amount. Even the amount that I have here is too much. I've already been wiping off the excess here. and you need like literally the size, less than the size of a lentil. Like a half a lentil is all you're gonna need. But these are beautiful. The one thing I'll tell you is this shade here, Island Glow, I'm curious what's gonna happen, whether they're gonna reformulate it, because it is a little stiff to get it. You can squeeze it, I'm squeezing pretty hard now, and barely any of it is coming out. The reason I say that is because somebody mentioned in the comment section how they have this shade and they were struggling to get it out, and I don't have that problem with the other two, but as they were struggling to get it out, the back end exploded and they ended up with product everywhere. The good part is that when she mentioned it to Lisa Eldridge Cosmetics, they were able to refund her the price of the product, so she got her money back for it, and she was able to get what was left in the tube into a different container and still use it, and she says it hasn't really gotten too dried out. But I don't know that the formulation of this shade is ideal for the type of packaging where you have kind of like this clear nozzle. The other thing I noticed is that when I squeeze this, sometimes it came out pretty easy there, but sometimes this little clear plastic nozzle will start to come away from the tube. So maybe if mine has a problem, it's not going to be coming out the back end. That whole plastic nozzle might get pushed out. But I feel like no amount of like massaging it, trying to mix it up, trying to warm it up between my hands has really helped. It's been a problem, but I feel like the application of all of these shades is beautiful, and I have been reaching for all of them. And even though I struggle to squeeze it out, it's not like it keeps me from using it. My favorite part about these is that they wear really well and the color lasts for hours. They just look beautiful and very skin-like. Another item that I purchased that I really didn't expect to love as much as I do is this right here. This is the Elevated Glow. I have the lightest shade. I'm already like to here. Can you see that slight line of demarcation? I have used more than this than I expected to use. I'm gonna need another one a lot sooner. But the thing that I think is amazing and special about this is that it has the most understated but blingy at the same time kind of glow. You see that shine? It doesn't look glittery. It doesn't look, you know, like a stripe of color, but when you add this on top of the skin, your skin looks luminous. And I thought, well, it's kind of, you know, it's not too flashy, but it is. It almost at times reflects in a way that I wouldn't expect something this subdued to reflect. It's beautiful. The other thing I have been doing, I've been mixing it in with foundation. Sometimes I'll tap it on like my cheeks, like this entire area here, let it set before I start putting on my makeup. I really like it. Lisa says that it does have some lifting properties to it. I don't know that I'm seeing any lifting, but at 46, it's gonna have to be pretty dramatic or I'm not gonna notice. My eyes are old, my skin is not as taut as it used to be, but the look that it gives me, and I remember forever what my mom said. I had just received the product, she was visiting at the time. As I put it on and I walked out, she was like, "What is on your face?" And I was like, "Makeup?" She's like, no, your face is glowing. What is it?" And I told her it was this new highlight, and she's like, and it was kind of funny. She's like, "It looks like you've been with the Lord." And she's thinking about Moses, Mount Sinai, you know, the glory of the Lord, his face is shining. That was her comment to me, and I died laughing, but she could not stop looking at me. And I was like, "Is it a bad glow?" She goes, "No, you look radiant." So I have been loving this, and my mom is not a glowy sparkle type of makeup person. She's 70. She loved this. But she told me, like, "Are you wearing that glow again today?" Like, she kept bringing it up while she was visiting, and I love. Along with the blush and the highlights, she also came out with new shades of her luxuriously lucent lipsticks. She came out with 5 new shades. I already have one of the ones she re-released. So I picked up these 4 shades. I have been in love with these. These are, for me, they're the perfect glowy, slightly tinted, not too much lipstick. If you're looking for a fully pigmented lipstick, you're not gonna like these guys. I like these guys because they are like a low-key lip balm. So here are all the shades. This one here is Atomic Cherry. This one here is Spirited Away. This is Kitten Mischief. And this one over here is Painterly. Now, these more nude shades on this end don't look like they're that different swatched on my hand, but when you put them on the lips, paint really tends to, with my natural lip color underneath, lean a little bit more berry, a little bit more deep and rich. The one in Kitten Mischief, this one right here, I actually wear on days when I'm not wearing any makeup. No concealer, no brows, no nothing. I just something on my lips because it's like my lips, but a little bit more, and they look glossy, and the color never bleeds outside of my lip line. My favorite one is this one right here. This one's called Spirited Away. It's my perfect lip. What I like most about this formula is that each shade, because it is kind of like a sheer shade, they're not like too much. They look different on everybody based on what lip color you have naturally. So I love these. They don't look like a real heavy lipstick. Some of them look more lipsticky than others, but it's not like a full-on matte or even a cream lipstick where it looks a little heavier. These look so sheer and beautiful. I feel like it enhances my natural beauty as opposed to being, boom, I'm wearing lipstick. And there are some shades like Kitten Mischief that I can wear and it's just like me but better. I like it. The one that I was sure I was gonna like the most is this one here. This one's called Atomic Cherry, and I wanted Atomic Cherry to be like a bright red. It's definitely more of a hot orange or coral shade. It's described as a sheer red, and I don't know that I'd call it a red. I have been wearing it, but it's not what I was expecting, and so when I got it, I was just a little disappointed. It hasn't stopped me from wearing it, but it's not the one I reached for the most. I feel like I'm getting a good decent 3.5 to 4 hours of wear out of, you know, the color, and they're super comfortable on the lips, easy to reapply. Love, love, love this formula. She comes out with more of these luxuriously lucent. I'll be right there. Thank you so much for watching today. I think my favorite part of a more in-depth check back on products that I've purchased is that things are different. Weather could be hotter or cooler, skincare could vary, application could vary, as well as do I really reach for it? And I think that is so important because trying something new that's exciting is fantastic, but do I continue to reach for it? And is it worth the price that it is? There are some things in here that are luxury, some things that are high-end, some things that are drugstore. And I wanna know what's good, and it doesn't matter what the packaging is like or how much it costs. Is the product on the inside good? And you only know when you try it multiple times. So thank you for watching this more in-depth review. If you like these sorts of reviews, let me know in the comments down below. But I would also really love to know if there's a product you've tried that you feel strongly, good or bad about, that you've used and you're like, I just can't get it, or it's the best thing ever. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Have an incredible day, and I will see you again soon.